When you strip away the illusions men live under, one truth remains. Women are not loyal to your sacrifices, your hard work, or the long list of things you've done for them. They are loyal only to one thing: the value you represent right now. This isn't a cynical view born from bitterness. It's a psychological reality you either accept or be destroyed by. Byung-Chul Han, the Korean-German philosopher known for exposing the hidden mechanisms of our modern age, would tell you that loyalty today is not about love, memory, or morality. It's about utility in the present moment. In his view, we live in a performance society where worth is continuously measured in real time, not by your past achievements, but by what you are in this instant. The affection you think is secured by your years of devotion is an illusion, because in the invisible economy of desire, value depreciates the moment you stop performing at the level she expects. Think about how this plays out in relationships. A man works day and night to build a life for his woman. He pays for her education, supports her dreams, helps her family. In his mind, he believes he's earned her loyalty forever. But loyalty built on a record of past actions is fragile. The moment another man appears who embodies more current desirability, more status, more vitality, more energy, the years you invested mean nothing. Her loyalty was never to you as a person, but to the image of power, attraction, and opportunity you represented in that moment. This is why so many men feel betrayed without ever understanding why. They think women are ungrateful or forgetful, when in truth, they never forgot anything. They simply recalculated the equation of value. The connection you had existed inside a field of emotional energy, and that energy changes based on who you are right now, not who you used to be. Han would say this is not just about female nature. It's a feature of the hyper-competitive, ever-updating digital age. Social media has made everyone hyper-aware of alternatives. A woman can compare you to thousands of other men instantly, and your position in her mind shifts with every exposure to someone who appears better. In the performance society, loyalty isn't a virtue. It's a temporary alignment of interests. When those interests shift, so does loyalty. Part 1. The illusion of earned loyalty. One of the most dangerous illusions for men is the belief that loyalty can be earned, like money in a bank account. Men are conditioned from childhood to believe in a merit-based, emotional economy, that if you work hard, sacrifice, and show devotion, people will reciprocate with permanent loyalty. This works in some male friendships, in business partnerships, even in certain family bonds. But with women, this belief is often a fatal misunderstanding. In reality, loyalty in romantic relationships is rarely about the past. It is about the present perception of value, and this value is multi-layered: physical, emotional, social, and psychological. You might have been the most attractive, ambitious man in her life 3 years ago. But if your energy drops, if your ambition fades, if your body changes, if your aura of confidence cracks, her attraction will follow that downward curve, regardless of what you've done for her before. Byung-Chul Han speaks of the achievement subject, the modern individual who is constantly under pressure to prove their worth, not to others, but to themselves. In the context of relationships, you are both the subject and the product. You must constantly perform, constantly maintain your desirability. The day you stop performing, you become invisible to the female instinct that was once magnetized to you. This explains why men who give everything to women often end up resented rather than appreciated. The paradox is this: the more you try to buy loyalty through service and sacrifice, the more you transform yourself from a desirable man into a dependable provider. And provision without desire is not loyalty, it is convenience. Once convenience is no longer necessary, it is discarded without guilt. Women's loyalty in Han's framework is contingent. It exists so long as you remain aligned with her current emotional economy. This is not evil or manipulative. It is simply how value is assessed in an age where options are endless. Men must abandon the fantasy of securing eternal loyalty through past deeds. Instead, they must embrace the truth. Your value must be renewed daily, not remembered nostalgically. Part 2. The economy of desire. Desire is not a static emotion. It is a fluctuating market. In the same way, stock prices rise and fall based on current market conditions. Your desirability is constantly evaluated and re-evaluated by the woman in your life. Byung-Chul Han's insights into neoliberal culture show us that human relationships have absorbed the same logic as financial markets, performance metrics, constant self-optimization, and immediate responsiveness to new competition. If a man stops cultivating his physical presence, his social status, or his inner strength, his value stock begins to fall. And here's the harsh truth. Women are not sentimental investors. They will not hold on to a declining stock out of nostalgia for what it used to be worth. They will cut losses and reinvest their emotional energy where they perceive greater returns. This is why stories of women leaving good men for someone else are so common. It's not that the good man wasn't valuable once, it's that his value was no longer competitive. The other man might not have done half as much for her, but in her mind he is more valuable now. That now outweighs years of history. Han would tell us that this is amplified by the constant digital exposure to alternatives. The performance society breeds restlessness. Every swipe, every Instagram story, every TikTok clip delivers microdoses of novelty and comparison. A man's position in the hierarchy of desire is never fixed. It is continuously tested against a rolling feed of potential upgrades. The conclusion is brutal but liberating. Your role is not to demand loyalty, but to maintain relevance. This doesn't mean becoming a slave to her expectations. It means mastering yourself so thoroughly that your value does not depend on her perception alone. If you live in constant self-renewal, your presence will naturally command loyalty, not through begging or bargaining, but through the undeniable gravity of your being. Part 3: The Present Moment Test. Every man in a long-term relationship faces what I call the present moment test. It's not a single event, not a fight, not an argument you can remember. It's an ongoing, invisible process. Your partner is constantly recalibrating her attraction and loyalty based on who you are right now. The brutal part? This recalibration is rarely conscious. She might not even realize she's doing it, but her behavior towards you will shift the moment her emotional calculation changes. Byung-Chul Han's observations about modern time perception are crucial here. He explains that in the performance society, the weight of the past has eroded. We live in what he calls a presentist culture, one obsessed with the immediate moment. Yesterday's achievements don't count. What matters is your performance now. In love, this means that the vacation you took her on 2 years ago, the sacrifices you made for her career, the late nights you stayed up comforting her, these may exist in her memory, but they don't buy you loyalty in the present moment. Think about it like an athlete's career. A player may have been MVP 5 years ago, but if they're underperforming today, fans and coaches treat them differently. Their past glory is respected, but it no longer earns them a spot in the starting lineup. Relationships operate under a similar emotional logic, except here, the coach is your partner's subconscious. Here's a scenario. A man, let's call him Daniel, built his relationship on passion and energy. He was driven, ambitious, always surprising his partner with plans and ideas. Over time, work stress hit him hard, and he started coming home drained, skipping the gym, losing his spark. In his mind, nothing had changed. He was still loyal, still paying the bills, still doing the right things. But in her mind, the man she was drawn to had been replaced by someone else. The gap between who he was and who he is now became too wide. She didn't consciously say, "He's failed the present moment test," but emotionally, she withdrew. Han would argue that this is amplified by the environment we live in. Your partner is constantly seeing alternative male archetypes, online, in media, in her social circles, who embody traits you may have stopped expressing. These comparisons happen automatically, and they make the present moment test harder to pass. In earlier centuries, loyalty might have been bolstered by limited exposure to alternatives. Today, in the endless scroll of curated perfection, the bar is always being reset higher. Passing this test is not about exhausting yourself to perform for her approval. It's about never letting your own evolution stall. If you grow continuously for yourself, you'll naturally project the vitality that passes her unconscious evaluation, not because you're chasing her validation, but because self-renewal is part of your nature. Part 4. The danger of dependence. Men lose attraction not just because they stop improving, but because they start depending on a woman's loyalty as their primary source of self-worth. At first, this dependence feels like devotion. You think, I'm committed, I'm giving her my all, I'm putting her first. But over time, the balance shifts. Your sense of identity begins to orbit around her approval. And this is where the slow death of attraction begins. Byung-Chul Han speaks about the achievement subject, a person who constantly exploits themselves under the illusion of freedom. In relationships, dependence makes you a self-exploiting subject in love. You're no longer building your life because you want to. You're building it because you hope she notices and rewards you with loyalty. This is the emotional equivalent of a hamster, running endlessly on a wheel, not out of joy, but out of fear of losing her. Dependency sends two damaging messages. 1. You are my source of validation, which signals weakness rather than abundance. 2. I will tolerate anything to keep you, which kills respect over time. Han might say that dependence destroys the mystery capital you once had. Early in the relationship, she didn't fully know you. She was discovering you, but the dependent man becomes transparent. She can predict exactly what he'll say, exactly how he'll react, exactly how much he'll tolerate. And predictability is a slow poison for female desire. Look at how many women leave safe relationships for riskier ones. It's not always because the other man is richer or better looking. Sometimes it's because he's less predictable, less dependent and more self-contained. A dependent man makes her feel like she holds all the power. An independent man makes her feel like she has to earn his attention too. The worst part is that dependence makes breakups more devastating for men. When she leaves, she's not just leaving a relationship, she's taking away your main source of identity. The independent man grieves but remains whole. The dependent man crumbles because he built his life on someone else's approval. Han's warning here is clear. In a performance society, the one who needs the other less holds the power. Part 5. Value without attachment. So how do you hold a woman's loyalty without making it your lifeline? By mastering value without attachment. This is not coldness or emotional withdrawal. It's building a life so rich in self-sufficiency that your value doesn't require constant reassurance from her. Han often critiques how modern culture demands constant productivity and visibility. His antidote? Create hidden zones in your life. Spaces of growth and fulfillment that exist outside of public validation. For a man, this means hobbies, skills, friendships, and personal goals that don't revolve around her opinion. When you have these, you radiate an energy that says, I choose to be here, but I don't need to be here to feel whole. Think of it like a kingdom. If your entire kingdom is built on one city, her, then losing that city destroys your empire. But if your kingdom has many thriving cities, your fitness, your career, your creative projects, your brotherhood with other men, your spiritual growth, then even if she leaves, your kingdom still stands strong. And paradoxically, this strength makes her less likely to leave in the first place. A man who lives in self-renewal doesn't have to earn loyalty in a desperate way. His value is so evident that loyalty becomes a natural response. He is attractive because he's growing, not because he's chasing. He is desirable because he's free, not because he's needy. This is the balance. High value, low attachment. Han might frame this as resisting the totalizing nature of the performance society. Instead of performing for her gaze or for the digital crowd, you perform for yourself. And that inner-directed performance has a different, more magnetic quality. It's not frantic, it's not approval-seeking, it's grounded. And grounded men are the ones women instinctively anchor to, even in a culture that makes loyalty fragile. Part 6. The collapse of male self-worth in the marketplace of validation. Byung-Chul Han warns us that in the achievement society, worth is no longer based on virtue, skill, or loyalty, but on how much attention one can command. This creates a dangerous imbalance in relationships. For men, it often means they measure themselves through the eyes of the woman they desire. Every action, whether it's paying her bills, buying her gifts, or sacrificing time and dreams, becomes a currency of validation. But here is the philosophical problem Han exposes. In the marketplace of validation, you are not rewarded for what you are, but for how well you entertain or emotionally stimulate. The moment you stop providing that stimulation, you become invisible. This is why a man can build an empire for a woman and still watch her walk away, not because she didn't value the empire, but because her loyalty was never to him as a person. Her loyalty was to the feeling he once provided. Stoicism teaches detachment from external validation, but Han's insight adds a modern twist. You are not just resisting emotional dependence. You are resisting an economy of human attention that treats your existence like disposable content. In this system, every man risks becoming obsolete in a woman's emotional world if he fails to continuously perform his desirability. This is why so many men spiral into confusion after being left. They think, but I gave her everything. And indeed, they may have, but the everything was not the thing she truly craved. She wasn't loyal to the dinners, the vacations, or the long talks. She was loyal to the spark those things once ignited in her. And when that spark dimmed, the loyalty evaporated. Han would say that in this climate, a man must withdraw from the performance of being enough for someone else and focus instead on the slow, deliberate work of becoming enough for himself. This is not coldness. It is self-preservation. It is understanding that to participate in the marketplace of validation without losing your soul, you must be able to walk away from the applause and still hear your own heartbeat. Part 7. Building an inner fortress. She cannot breach. Here, Han and the Stoics converge on a single truth. The only unshakable loyalty you can rely on is loyalty to your own guiding principles. This does not mean shutting women out or mistrusting every emotional connection. Rather, it means constructing an inner fortress, a selfhood so stable that no shift in her attention can destabilize you. In Han's terms, this requires slowness. Slowness in deciding who gets access to your deepest self. Slowness in revealing your vulnerabilities. Slowness in becoming emotionally dependent on the presence of another person. Why? Because modern relationships move at the speed of dopamine. And what moves fast burns out fast. A man who embodies slowness is a man who refuses to be consumed by the endless urgency of emotional commerce. He is not rushing to prove himself with grand gestures. He is not competing for her attention against 1,000 digital distractions. He is grounded, deliberate, and unpredictable, not in the sense of playing games, but in the sense of living from his own rhythm, not hers. This is magnetic in a way that flowers and gifts can never be. A woman may chase such a man not because he is the loudest performer in her emotional theater, but because he is the one person who doesn't need her applause. And in a world where attention is the ultimate currency, the man who doesn't beg for it becomes priceless. The Stoic Han blueprint for modern love. If we combine Stoicism's ancient discipline with Byung-Chul Han's modern diagnosis, the lesson is devastatingly clear. Women are not loyal to your sacrifices, your status, or even your shared memories. They are loyal to the experience of you that aligns with their emotional state in the moment. You cannot control this loyalty. You cannot lock it in with gifts or promises. You can only control your own state, your own values, your own boundaries, your own ability to remain whole whether she is by your side or not. This is the blueprint. Detach from performance. Stop measuring your worth by her reactions. Practice slowness. Resist the speed of emotional commerce. Live from principle. Let your values, not her moods, shape your actions. Build your fortress. Make your selfhood unbreachable by external rejection. Because when you understand that her loyalty is to the feeling, not the man, you stop living for her approval and start living for your own truth. And in that moment, you become untouchable. Not because you no longer care, but because you finally understand where true loyalty begins.